everyone, and welcome to the Best of 3 Call of Duty Esports podcast. I'm your host, Josh. SalvationsElite to my right is Bash_Bo3. To our farthest right, per usual, is none other than Rex, Shady, Nero, and guys, girls, ladies and gentlemen, all about. We got a lot to talk about today, of course, and we've got the second major of the Call of Duty League season. Stage 2, the major is about to happen. We're going to be talking about, go through all the predictions, of course, and we have some more spicy roster news to talk about, of course, with LA Thieves. They're biting the dust. But before we get to any of that and all the spiciness of the week, we got to ask, what's going on?
Well, Josh, I am feeling like the Energizer Bunny, right? And I've got my drum. I'm banging around. I'm fucking all right. I'm feeling really, really great. And I'm pounding my drum. But then my right hand, I pounded it too hard. There's a hole in my Energizer drum. I'm like, what is going on? Yeah. And I'm panicking. And then all of a sudden, the battery on my back starts going electric, and it was like, in a spirit comes out and is like, "Okay, I will fix the drum." And it's like the grandfather of all the Energizer bunnies comes out, and it's like a mystical mist that comes down and like reanimates the hole that was in my drum, and I'm starting to bang again.
Oh my goodness, that was something. Sam, how you doing?
Doing good.
Doing having a good time.
Yeah, you know.
We're gonna have to sell those batteries to pay for this podcast now. Yeah. Oh my word, unbelievable.
Man.
But we have a lot to get into today.
Yeah.
Obviously, I mean, you know, you can listen on Apple Podcasts, you can listen on Spotify, you can watch on YouTube, you can drop a comment on YouTube, you can drop a review on Apple Podcasts, and some fine folks have. And today we're reading a review from TJ Yerk. With the best podcast out of the 3. Honestly, the best podcast I listen to, hearing you guys just ramble about Call of Duty news is so soothing. I can finally get through these unbearable work days in a lonely 31-floor skyscraper where there are no workers, thanks COVID. I love the show and keep up the amazing job, guys. 5 stars.
Dang, 31 floor.
31-floor skyscraper with nobody there.
Jeez, that'd be kind of creepy.
I mean, honestly, though, kind of crazy. But yo, TJ Yerk with the great review. Appreciate it, brother.
Thank you. Thank you.
Glad you're enjoying the pods. And yeah, man, we got a lot to get into today. We're going to do no quick question again this week because just going to be another long episode with a lot of juicy talking to get into. So without further ado, let's get right in to the news of the week. The Call of Duty news of the week. Alrighty, so like I said, an interesting week to say the least when it comes to news and everything going on. Basically just some roster things to talk about, and of course, I mean, we may as well start off with the lead, the hotness that is LA Thieves, because talk about a week or two for LA Thieves.
Oh my goodness!
And Rex is just blown away over there.
Jeez,
but okay, I mean, I guess up front the news is that Slasher has been benched. Slasher has been benched, which is we have got to this point. We have got to this point where Slasher is getting benched and Drazah is in the starting lineup, which means that Temp has found his way back on to the bench as well. And so here we are. Drazah, Kenny, Tej, and Venom is the starting 4 for the LA Thieves. And it got a little juicy. Kenny was talking about in a stream that he kind of like talked about potentially getting traded or benched for the good of the team, you know, and he kind of clarified like, well, I wasn't really trying to get traded. I was just kind of like saying, I'll do whatever it takes to get better. But I mean, weird that he even said in the first place. And the other piece of that news is that Kenny will be running the main AR, which is crazy in itself. And Drazah will be the one flexing. So,
all right, let's bring this to TMZ time. All right.
Okay.
So this is TMZ drama news here.
This is drama alert.
So Kenny obviously didn't play in the last stage because, you know, he was sick or, you know, and that could be all very well and true. But let's go TMZ side of things here. he didn't want to play with Slasher. He was trying to get traded or benched for, quote unquote, the good of the team. But, what do we think of that? Kenny was a good part of the team. He was probably not going to be the person that you would ever want to be getting rid of on that team. And then Slasher, with his style of like leadership or how he, kind of runs the show, it's his way or the highway. Is kind of what we hear is how he runs things. And Kenny May was getting sick of it. He's like, you know what? I'm not even going to play in the next one. And then that was kind of the moment where like everyone's kind of like, maybe we need to get Slasher out of here. And so they kind of made that decision to do that.
Well, from everything we know, that Kenny was actually sick from everything that we know, though. So at that point, it'd be like,
right.
But either way, it is really unfortunate that like that's just like a terrible situation. I know Tash had said that Kenny's PC like a few days before that like broke, and so he couldn't play, and they were trying to get a new PC for him, and then he got sick and he couldn't play. And so they like literally just went into that major with quite literally zero practice with temp. And so it was just a mess from the beginning, just crazy. So Sam, thoughts?
I do get it. No, I don't get it. It seems so strange to me, dude.
Slasher hasn't tweeted yet.
He hasn't tweeted yet.
Which is a shame. That's a shame.
To me, it just... Why not try someone other than TJ? Like, why is TJ this unbenchable player?
Yeah, I mean...
He must be good in scrims.
I mean, he hasn't been playing horrible in events. And that's the thing. Like, individually, none of them have been playing.
See, that's my thing. Is like, none of them are like so... like they're all just like doing their thing. Right. But it's like Slasher is like the like main AR.
Yeah.
Like, why get rid of the main, like...
I mean, they must think that whatever his philosophy for playing this game wasn't correct.
And like,
it wasn't molding with the guys that were there. I feel like people were getting irritated with him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Kenny obviously... Right. And like to your point, I think Kenny, he wouldn't say that unless there was at least something, some like small part of him that would have been fine with being off of LA Thieves. I mean, obviously. He said he didn't have any teams in mind or anything. It was just like a kind of the thing he just said or whatever. I don't know. Definitely kind of weird. But
that is strange. I just thought that like Slasher was the guy they were building around, but it seems like it seems like it's Kenny now. It's Kenny that
which is really fair. I mean, I do think that Kenny's the best player on that team.
No, yeah, probably. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I guess I was thinking more from like just like a leadership.
Right. Like Slasher's more of like the fundamental type piece.
Exactly.
Well, maybe Slasher kind of was like maybe he even opted to bench himself in a way. Like
I mean, that's the other side of it.
But like maybe he got like roasted in scrims. Like obviously things get toxic when you're on the like things are not going well. It just happens with every team. So I feel like maybe people were kind of getting at him, and he was like, you know what? I will sit out in this next major.
And we'll see how you do.
And and you guys do what you need to do. And maybe it was a sense of like him being, falling on the sword for the team. Just be like, okay, try it without me then. If you guys really think it's a problem, go and do it. And maybe it's an honorable move from him in a way. We'll see what happens. It might not be the case, but there is another story in that way where this could have been, in a way, Slasher's kind of like maybe still a big part of this team.
Yeah.
But he's being like, I'll take the sidelines. You guys try it out.
The other potential storyline,
or it's going to work.
Yeah, I mean, like dating back to last year, where people have been kind of referencing his like whole streaming situation where he's like basically saying that he'd be willing to retire if this was online COD again. Mm-hmm. But again, in that context last year, that was when they were all struggling with the connections online. The servers were terrible for them and they were lagging every single match. And so it's a little bit different this year.
Yeah.
And like now that they're all in Dallas and that's not the excuse or not the reason why they've been playing as bad. I mean, it does make it a little bit tougher. I'd be surprised if he's just willing to.
It doesn't seem like that's like his style. It's like just like to fall on the sword and be like, you know what, I'm just done.
Right.
I don't know. It doesn't seem like him.
Based on JCap's tweets, it felt like he believed in this.
Yeah.
And that it seemed like he was really defending the idea that Kenny could be a great man AR. Mm-hmm. And like that's a whole nother topic I guess that we can talk about for a second is like,
but what else is a coach supposed to say? I don't believe in this move, but we did it anyways.
Well, if he didn't believe in it, he wouldn't necessarily
tweeted,
hype
maybe.
it up.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
he's
but
like,
how much of a factor is the coach playing in this? Like maybe it's different for every team, but like JCap might not be the coach that decides how this
Well, Mud Dog
who's on
and
the
JCap,
roster.
at the end of the day, like they technically have the final say, even though like realistically the players have the input.
Yeah.
And they are very embedded in the scene that the players probably still have the input. I mean, I would
likely
think, and they have a little bit of a say in the process of it.
for sure. Yeah, I mean but like if you're, you know, if obviously Slasher doesn't have all the power unless he was the one that literally called the shot to bench himself, which maybe that's the case, and if that's what you're saying, but
I'm just very curious to see what Slasher's going to tweet. Like,
I know. Formal put out that like turning on his notifications
all
tweet.
tweets.
I'm like, that's quality. That was a really quality tweet. I know. It gets really, really interesting. I mean, again, do you believe Kenny can be a legitimate main AR? Can these roles work with? We saw Tej try to run the AR for you know what, 2 maps basically, and it was like, I mean, obviously they had no practice and like they were getting smoked in that first hardpoint versus LAG. But
I'll be honest, personally, with how the Krig plays, I wouldn't be surprised if this role works for him. The Krig is a pretty nasty gun, like we saw with that 1v1 versus
with
Scump. The Krig is nasty, and like we are starting to see more people use two on the map, and so really it's just kind of a, and it may not even be much of position changes if he was already flexing with it. It'd probably just be more of him just slowing down just slightly, but I don't know. There is a world where it can work, and you know, maybe Drazah somehow and Venom are the two.
Well, where's this? I mean, who's the leader now? Is it
probably Kenny?
And
wouldn't you think?
Maybe we don't know what he's like as a leader at all, but like, is this team going to have like organization?
Right.
Like, and so we've kind of seen where like LAG is now 3-0ing FaZe and Seattle Surge is on the up. And it's like, these are organized
3-2.
teams.
Let's calm down.
Like these are like teams that are like becoming more organized. Like they're not the most like slayest, most like fastest, but like they're very organized in what they do.
I'm loving this English. This is some good stuff. Yeah, no, for sure. I get what you're saying though, because it is interesting. And like, I saw, who was it? Parasite was mentioning that, like with their pacing and that LAG's been playing, or that LAT's been playing pretty slow around the map, which is surprising with the guys that they have on that team, that you'd think they'd want to play a little bit faster and play some of the faster paced maps, but they haven't been necessarily willing to do that. So it is interesting. I'm definitely not optimistic necessarily about the move. It's hard to imagine that they're like drastically better. But
I just want to know who's shot calling.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably going to be some sort of combination of Kenny and Tej, realistically. But you know, it's definitely no guarantee either way right now. It is a pretty big experiment for dropping a main AR and bringing up your flex as the new main AR and how that could play. Yeah, part of that whole conversation that was had on Twitter with JCap was the idea of roles.
Yeah,
and
that was interesting.
And Aches was coming at him. Aches was coming at him about basically saying that Aches was not convinced that Kenny could run a main AR effectively, and then basically,
I don't think he like said it like that. I think it was more of like,
well, this all started with when JCap said that COD has basically turned into a somewhat positionless game where the positions he equated to basketball. I guess I'm not much of a basketball guy, so you know what I mean. But basically, you know, he was saying you need to be able to adapt and play in any situation with any gun. And then Ace came back at him and said, "So you think RSTs and a BZ could switch roles and be equally as good?" And then he came back and said, "Yes, that's exactly what I meant."
Which
being facetious.
Was he being facetious though?
I think he was.
Yeah, it's pretty JCap of him.
Yeah. So, but then you know they go back and forth, and basically, you know, he was saying that Kenny was already running the Krig, like his positioning shouldn't be that much different on the map,
right? Which is interesting.
Which is kind of interesting.
Like, so the question is, do you believe does the main AR technically run different routes than a flex would if they're both using an AR? And that's kind of a debate. I think it does depend on the team. Some teams no, some teams yes. And I don't think there's necessarily a right answer there, but the idea of fluent positions is definitely interesting, and they kind of went back and forth on that for a while about what that could look like. And I guess how I talked about it in my roles video that I made was the idea that there are jobs on the map that have to be done, and that certain players do certain jobs more effectively, basically being roles. I mean, you know, like in this COD, there isn't technically, like, I get what he's saying. Like, there aren't technically like support player. Like, you're not
OBJ.
like, I'm a support player. Like, no pro would say that.
Yeah.
And you're not going to say, I'm a main AR. Like, you wouldn't say like, I'm an OBJ player.
Yeah.
You know, but because all of those things have to happen around the map. And at certain times, you know, one guy is going to go snag the spawns or rotate early, and it might not be the same guy every single time. But there's players who have these tendencies, and so then you label them as those types of roles. Like, technically, a BZ prefers to play, like I said, like, this is what I talked about in that same video, was a BZ and Simp. Like, they can both slay. They're both incredible slayers. But at the end of the day, one of them has to run in first. And generally, it's a BZ.
Yeah.
But not always. Sometimes Simp goes in first.
Yeah.
And it's a very fluent definition of roles, but I still think there are loose roles that players fall into.
There's like certain priorities I think people have more in mind. Like, your main AR is going to have, you know, anchoring more in mind than someone who's an entry sub.
Right. Like let's say on like Garrison Hardpoint, if you want to get that spawn trap back at the back of tanks and like spawn trap them back behind P5.
Yeah.
Like, your main AR sits on top of bridge, and that's anchoring the spawns while also looking towards tanks and beaming people off the headies. Yeah. Like, you know, like, that's kind of what a main AR does on that map. They just kind of like assumed. You don't put a sub there, because why would you do that? That would make no sense. So it's like, there are like roles where it comes like certain points where it's like, there are jobs that need to be done that certain players are going to do. And like, is that roles?
Yeah.
Some guys would say, no, those are just jobs that need to be done. Some would say roles. I think it's kind of a dumb argument, like between Aches and JCap, because like it's somewhere in the middle for sure.
Yeah.
But I do like, I don't know. I guess, does it make sense, like thinking about it, like jobs need to be done around the map?
Yeah, because like you could say like, okay, well then at that, say your main AR gets shot off the bridge. It's like, well, should your sub go pick up his AR and now be the main AR? So it's like, yeah, like maybe it's just more jobs that need to be done. And then any player at any time should be able to fill those positions.
And then teams who are best at realizing what jobs need to be done and when they need to be done are the teams that are the best.
Exactly.
Which is, that's a legit argument. Yeah. That's kind of what you could say with FaZe, is that, okay, like, you know, if there's two guys there, one guy's, the team has to assume this needs to be done, I'll do it.
Yeah, exactly.
But the thing is that generally certain players fall into certain things and have those certain tendencies. And then we assign those role titles to those players.
Exactly.
But it's not like, you don't start from the ground up there. You're not like, we need to build a team, so we need a support, we need a slayer. You know, like, that's not how it happens. It kind of it just kind of falls into place with your squad.
Yes. Yeah. So I do agree with that. I do think it's kind of a weird argument, you know, to begin with.
Yeah.
I think tensions were pretty high. Obviously, just announcing, you know, Sasha being dropped. I'm sure
it felt like Aches was kind of doubting JCap and the team.
I'm sure JCap's mentions were probably getting a little blown up too. They're like, thinking that was a dumb thing, but we'll see. Time will tell, obviously. But
yeah, so with that relating to LA Thieves,
yes,
do you believe that these role layouts here with just, or the positions, I guess how I see it is like positions versus roles. It's like the positions are kind of the guns you use, and then the roles are the jobs you do around the map. Yeah. And so it's like, okay, do you believe that Kenny and Kenny running as the main AR can work?
I think it can. Like, I honestly don't really know Kenny too much. Like, I guess he was flexing, but like,
for a little while. Yeah,
he's probably playing a little bit more back now. Like,
right. You would assume it slows him down a little bit, but like, maybe it doesn't. Maybe playing the flex versus the main AR, like what JCap says, you're going to do the same thing, which maybe that is the case. And so then it's just Drazah and him running the ARs, and you let Venom and Teach just kind of do their thing, which is very possible.
Yeah.
It does, I mean, like, I guess it kind of comes down to what you believe about Drazah at the end of the day.
Well, yeah, that's my thing too, is like, it could work, but then what if Drazah just doesn't even work out to begin with?
Right. The question is, do you believe that Kenny can be better than Slasher at main AR? And can Drazah be better
than
at
Kenny.
flex than Kenny?
I don't think it's going to work out for them this major.
Yeah.
Maybe going forward with more practice and seeing how Drazah and can he play in those positions, roles.
For sure.
Maybe, but by this week, there's just no way.
I mean, we just witnessed them get completely outclassed by LAG.
Yeah.
And like, again, LAG is a technical team. They're really good at finding that first pick, playing for map control, winning the spawns, capitalizing on their man advantage that they have on certain points in the map.
Yeah.
And like LAT got smoked in that raid hard point. They were down by like 150.
Yeah.
Getting bodied. And like Silly had streaks. Like their whole team had streaks. And it was crazy. Silly again played another incredible series, by the way.
He just like pops off randomly, I feel like.
It'll be interesting to see if he can keep it up. It'll be really, really cool if he can.
It would be cool.
It'll be awesome. And
But
like,
I feel like, yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say it's been interesting to see how he's been trying to play with Vivid. It's been really, really, really nice.
Mm-hmm.
But
I feel
what were you
like
gonna say?
LA Thieves is like the organization factor of LA Thieves is what I feel like has been their problem, and I don't know if this change is going to fix that problem.
Well, like
that's
the
why
external
I
pressure?
doubt it more so. Is like, are they going to be a more organized team? Are they going to be able to work together better than they were before?
Yeah, it's hard to imagine.
Because
right?
I always saw Slasher was the glue that was kind of like he could take charge and at least try and get some semblance of organization happening. Whereas with this, I don't know anymore. It's kind of a question mark. Someone's going to have to step up and kind of be that guy, right?
Right, for sure. Yeah, the really vocal, the guy who takes command, makes the calls when they like the important calls. Yeah, for
Right.
sure.
Or like everybody has to play a part in it, but it
Yeah,
felt
there's
like
different ways to do it. For sure.
they aren't players that do that too much. Like on
Right.
FaZe,
Like,
I feel
Teej is
like
one of the
Simp
quietest
makes a lot
players
of
in the league.
calls. RCs makes a lot of calls on FaZe. I think is like the shot calling is Simp and RCs for the most part, but it's more somewhat democratic.
It's definitely more
This one's going to
democratic.
be very democratic because, like,
Yeah,
who is going to have that, respect or whatever to be like, listen to this person?
100%. I that definitely is tough. It's hard for me to imagine that this makes them better quickly. Like, we're going to talk about them versus Paris, in their first round matchup, and that's going to be tough. That's going to be tough. So,
Or they're going to pop.
what?
Or some player is going to
Oh.
become like an all-star, right? Like after this, I think. And I think it could be Kenny, who could be like, he's the next like AR kind of like all-star
That'd
guy.
be crazy.
He's becoming the next leader, right?
That'd be so weird if Kenny like became like
I know.
and like actually a staying main AR. That'd be
Mhm.
so weird.
And a leader for the team. And like someone's going to have to turn into it. They made the roster change because clearly something wasn't working just internally with that team.
Right.
And the big news now is like you want to make these changes earlier rather than later.
Yeah, that's
So
really
it's like,
been the
might as well
trend.
just jump ahead of the gun now and just do it now.
Yeah. It's been wild. It's actually crazy how teams have been so quick to act this year. It's actually been really surprising. But yeah, overall, we'll talk a lot more about them in a little bit. So the last few things in news here, real quick, TP joined Envy, interestingly enough.
Kind of a random thing, but
Kind of random, just
cool.
happened out of nowhere. But TP is now an Envy content creator, technically.
Warzone, probably
Warzone.
the main focus.
Personality stuff, I guess. Host for things. I don't know. So shout out TP.
Yeah.
And then in the challenger scene, a bunch of just chaos has been going on in challengers, obviously. Wester's been kind of leading the charge there with picking up methods and then dropping methods again. So Parasite left and methods joined.
Mm-hmm.
And now methods left and Parasite joined.
Yeah.
And just absolute chaos. And it's just so crazy. It's like, well, how long was methods playing with them? A few days?
A few days. It has to be, right?
Like what? Like 7 days? Was it a week?
No, I don't even.
It wasn't
think
even a
that.
week?
I think it was like 2 or 3 days.
Yeah. Like seriously.
It's been wild. So
Yeah. I'm trying to find
absolutely
it,
crazy with that. I mean, basically all the challenger scene, it's basically all just happening tonight. So we're not going to talk too much about it because it's like it probably will change by tomorrow. The Elite Series was last week and it all went down and there was nothing going on this weekend. Fantastic Four ended up taking home the NA side of things and looked great.
Mhm.
And then they split up because Drazah.
These Drazah got moved up.
And definitely been interesting inside of the NA side of things. And so it's been really fun, man. I don't know. Thoughts as a whole on all of those roster changes and the chaos going on in challengers right now.
I mean, I wonder, Methods replaced Drazah, Fantastic Four. Parasite went back to replace Methods. Temp, what happened to him? I don't know.
He said he's just chilling right now. So he said he's...
Oh, you know what? Maybe he couldn't because he went and subbed back in again. It's like now he's not allowed to or something. Is that
I don't know. He said that he's going to take the week off for this major the weekend and not do anything, and then he'll figure out what he's doing next week. So who knows? Temp's in a tough spot. I guess we can just get right into our little like breakdown and reactions of the weekend, and then we can get into our predictions. So it's going to be a good time, man. Without further ado, let's get right into our reactions. Let's go.
Trash. Garbage.
Yes,
Trash.
All right, let's talk about this. So the first thing I wanted to talk about.
What'd you call me, bro? Nothing.
Yeah, hope you guys enjoyed our episode 69 last week, by the way.
Nice.
It got nice, dude. It got wild. It got spicy. I think it's still worth the rewatch if you haven't checked it out already. It went in, absolutely in, and it was a good time, to say the least.
Fun.
But yeah, so the first thing I wanted to talk about inside of the challenge or inside of this discussion for the reactions was I wanted to hit on some of the teams and kind of a broad overall, like the struggling teams right now, and give some predictions and thoughts on potential roster changes that could maybe happen or maybe won't happen.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, kind of depends on what we end up predicting for what their situations will be like in this major. But I want to hear which three teams all of us believe are most likely to make a roster change and what that roster change could potentially look like.
Mm-hmm.
So some options to consider:
Mutineers.
LA Thieves, Mutineers, London, Ultra, Paris, maybe, I don't know, LAG, maybe, who knows? And yeah, basically any of the middling teams basically could qualify for this one, and go from there. So give me at least one of your teams that you think is most likely to make a roster change, and then if it's in your top three as well, like somebody else's top three, make sure you let everyone know.
Yes.
Mutineers.
So, all right, Mutineers. They're definitely inside my top three for sure.
Number one team. For sure.
Really, number one.
Yeah.
They could be number one. Yeah.
And then but here's the thing.
Yeah.
I would, that's tough. I mean, part of me wants to say Ravens, but I'm more questioning it, but Mutineers just seems way too.
Okay. How about we do that? We talk about our top three teams first, and then we'll dive into them individually. So I guess I'll say my top three would be Florida, and at least for now, no particular order. It'd be Florida, London. I mean, obviously LA Thieves, and I still think Ultra could make a roster change, but they're going to stick it out for a while. It's not going to be as soon as London or Florida might be. Thoughts on LAG? Paris?
LAG won't.
LAG won't. I mean, after the FaZe win, the London win,
and the Thieves are in.
I don't think LAG will. I think London, the possibility, but man, they've had so many people on their roster already.
I mean, hey, it's a carousel, baby.
Yeah.
Keep it coming.
Paris is an interesting one because they were looking up pretty hard, but then kind of fell.
Kind of depends what happens with this major.
I know.
Like if they lost to LA Thieves in that first round, if they got like 3-0 or something, 3-1.
If they lose to Thieves, for sure, a roster change. But if they make it decently far,
I wouldn't say for sure roster change.
Really? I thought
pretty likely, but not for sure.
Here's what I think about Paris. I don't think they're ever going to make a roster change.
Well, it is Paris. That's fair. So the organization might never make a roster change. So that's what we would have said last year too.
Yeah, that is
multiple times throughout the year.
It
like,
they're
making a roster change for sure,
and then nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah,
they never will. They don't get that kind of
that's
dope.
fair. That's
a good point. Good point.
Otherwise, I think maybe, but I don't think they will.
That's fair. Okay, so let's talk Florida.
Yes, let's talk Florida.
Are we all thinking slacked? Is that where we're thinking there? Is Neptune an option?
Neptune's kind of an option for me.
Really?
Yeah, I know he's not for you, Sam.
I think Neptune has way more higher upside than Slacked.
In Hardpoint, both of them have played terrible.
Yeah.
Both of them have been terrible in Hardpoint, Neptune and Slacked. S&D, Neptune's been good. And we saw that against Paris. He played great in that S&D. He was like, what, 12-4 or something in the S&D?
I feel like this is maybe he's learning it more. I still don't think Neptune is like, he can be better.
Oh, I mean, yeah, it was on Express, and it was like a first blood frenzy. They were just flying in there towards B-Bomb, but I still think Neptune has way more. I mean, Slack's been terrible in S&D. He's been so bad. And like my
Slacked
issue
kind of has been the guy.
My issue with Slacked is that like this dates back to like last year too, where like there were so many struggles in S&D for that team, and he was definitely not good in S&D last year as well. So now it's like a 2-year thing where he hasn't been playing well in S&D, and so I don't know. I think you got to look towards a roster change here sooner than later if you're Florida, especially if they lose first round to LAG, which looks semi-likely at this point.
Yeah.
Okay, here's a big.
It's
take.
tough. Okay.
John for Slacked.
Mm-hmm. I like that move. A ton.
Shocker. Who'd have thought Sam
I
liked that
love
move?
that move.
Oh, my
Here's
word.
the thing. It kind of makes sense.
It does.
Is John the one, though?
John's
Yeah.
the one.
John's
The
kind of
one,
the
the
truth,
one.
I think. When you watch, like, I mean, I watched some challenges.
I mean, he did look
He's-
good.
He looks really good. And it's like, wow. Like, and he's
And
still
he replaced
somewhat
that veteran
veteranship.
status.
He's got the right personality to fit in anywhere.
Oh, yeah.
He knows
mean-
the AM guy scene.
The other
like,
guy that comes to mind really easily would be Temp. Obviously, that throws a whole new dynamic onto that team, which maybe they don't want because Slack's a much more chill type guy. And then you're replacing him with Temp, which would be, definitely a temperamental change to the team. But yeah, no, for sure. It is interesting. John would be interesting. I do
John's the guy. John's the guy. It's literally that. If John had a place that should be number one for him, it should be Mutineers. You don't want to go to a Thieves. You don't want to go to like these big name orgs. Like this is like his fresh start, and he can go to fresh start with Mutineers, which is like an up and coming brand. It's the perfect place for John.
Yeah. I mean, if John can be the guy again, which maybe he can, he's looked solid in the M team for sure. It's possible. It's possible.
But Temp does make sense though, where it's like he's already been in the CDL for around the roster,
He's
or
kind of the aggro player also, which could work for them. And they feel like they feel like they kind of need that guy who can go rogue, another guy to go with, like, who can go rogue like that.
Yeah.
John would make a lot of sense though. I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
John's
that
the
would
guy.
be very, very interesting.
Calling it now.
Is there anybody else that comes to mind?
No, it's John.
Yeah, it's just John.
It makes too much sense.
I mean, what if they brought back Havoc?
No.
Why?
I
Is
think
there more
Havoc's
upside
got
with
bad
Havoc?
blood. They got rid of him for a reason in the first place.
I mean, that's fair.
I guess my thing with Havoc is like, is there more upside with Havoc than Slacked? In S&D,
Mutineers
maybe?
is
I mean,
known for
Saints has
picking
been
up
playing really well in the
people.
AM scene.
Oh, Saints would be really good too.
He's an SMG. I could see like
Dude,
exotic.
It's John. Oh,
I could-
exotic. Not bad.
Yeah,
That would be
like-
cool.
maybe Decimate.
Here's,
Dylan Rex.
here's the thing. They're gonna go to multiple people, but if they go to John, like exotic was a good one, but John still is like, I think that's not an opportunity John's gonna say no to it. And he's gonna be like the first person I think they call. And I don't think he's gonna be like, no, I'm waiting for Thieves, or I'm waiting for, like, Florida's already is on the cusp of like a greatness type of team, but like clearly just little parts not working. And John,
Right.
I don't know. It's a vision.
I mean, it's clear how much they miss Pharaoh. I mean, that's clear. I mean, he was the perfect player for that team, you know, and so it
right
just sucks.
personality,
It
right
just
everything.
sucks so bad. Yeah, I mean, I get it. John's interesting. Yeah, I think John, exotic, Zaptius, maybe that could work. Maybe that could work.
Mutineers don't
Saints,
like weird drama stuff, man.
Yeah.
Saints is interesting. Saints could work. I wouldn't be. I wouldn't be opposed to that. Yeah, Dylan Rex, maybe. I don't know. Decimate. Those are all guys that are possible. They because they just need the aggro SMG. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. I definitely high likely chance that something like that happens there.
Yeah.
And so keep your eye on that one moving forward, to say the least. And okay, London. There's multiple situations here.
To get rid of Dylan Codd.
I mean, Dylan had a tough series against FaZe.
Yeah,
man.
tough series.
That's one of the worst
triple
series
neg?
we've seen a player have.
But it's
Yeah, triple
FaZe.
negative.
Yeah.
Right.
Angry phase where it's like even more. It's like,
I know.
Yeah,
hate to
what
be
was that
London
stat?
at all.
What was the stat? He's like 0-7?
No, he's 0 and yeah, you remember like 0 and 9 or something
his
like
map
that.
count's like
Only
it was like
3 maps.
3
to
and 20 something
3 and 27.
against Abizi, Simp, and Arcides. That
against
is something.
United /
Against United / Atlanta FaZe.
Oh my word. That's
That
ridiculous.
is so tough.
That's so sad. Really
I
is.
mean, sure, a lot of players have bad records against those teams.
Yeah,
though.
like I'm sure there's other people that are pretty close to that.
yeah.
that or worse.
It is
even.
interesting though. I mean, Dylan, it does feel like, you know, I mean, everyone said for a long time that Abizi's like the super Dylan, you know, in a lot of ways that Abizi does everything Dylan wants to do. But then Abizi also has his sidekick Simp that that plays just as fast as him. And Dylan needs that, you know?
I know.
And Dylan just hasn't had that guy. People thought it could be Alex, but not even Alex could play up to Dylan's speed.
No.
Zed's been good though.
Zed's been decent. Yeah, decent.
Zed has like
If London has mixed trade, it won't be Zed. That's for sure.
no, there won't be Zed or Paul X.
It'll be Dylan
I mean, it's either Dylan or Shawnee.
or Shawnee.
And it's
Dylan-
not
Dylan
Shawnee.
feels
Shawnee's
yeah.
the staple.
well. I don't necessarily know that. I mean, they kept him first and they wanted to keep his contract, so I get that side of it. But at the same time, like with how you want to play as a team and with like having Paul, I don't know. You can have Paul run main AR and then like you bring in Zero. I think that makes a lot of sense. He's faster. You know, it gives you a little bit more pace on the map. Would you rather? I mean, who would you pull in for Dylan? You know,
So someone to match Zed.
yeah, fair.
So
Who did Paul X play with?
What do you mean?
Venom
Zaptius.
and Zap and
Yeah,
all those
Venom's already
guys.
gone. Zap. So I mean, Zap is interesting. That could work.
that'd be an interesting choice for sure.
I don't
You
know how
just
much
have that-
Paul like. Well, no, because wasn't Paul and Zap? They had their beef with
they had the
E-Star and
beef.
West Star, right? Zap
Did
and
they?
Venom stayed together on West, and Paul and Gravity. Was it
Oh,
Gravity?
that's right.
Yeah,
went
yeah.
to E-Star. So I mean,
Oh,
it
there
could
was
be
some
gr-
weird
So
things.
there could be some
Gravity,
bad blood
kinda.
there. That's fair.
Hmm.
I don't know.
But here's the thing, like, yeah, it's weird.
What about Saints on that team?
Maybe.
Yeah.
But like the thing is, do they want to bring in another American? I don't know if they necessarily do.
Mm-hmm. We already saw Methods get pushed out. EU likes to stick to EU, man.
Yeah, that's the question mark. I'm not sure. It's not a good situation for London. They're in a tough spot.
They are.
I mean, after losing both their matches too, and like, I don't know, what did you see from London? You know, because like I definitely wasn't impressed. Rex, what were your thoughts on London on this weekend?
Well, I mean, they got 3-0'd by Ultra. Then they got
3-0
3-0'd by FaZe. Not a great look, especially that Ultra one. You would
No.
hope for a little more.
Yeah.
I think the potential's there. I
We
would
saw
stick
them-
it out a little bit longer if I were them. But if I am dropping somebody, it's Dylan.
Yeah. I mean, they've got the losers bye or whatever. You know, they play the winner of Paris versus LA Thieves.
Yep.
So they have a chance, you know, to make some plays here. They just got to win a few matches, but I'm not convinced it's going to happen, you know, and we'll talk about that later, I guess. But
Yeah. It is weird that like we saw them have this kind of like resurgence.
oh man, the hype was real. They played some good COD.
They were playing really well, and then all of a sudden they just kind of flatlined a little bit. I don't know. And you know, do you point that to like just like a bad week or a bad 2 weeks of COD?
Yeah, I mean, it is tough because it's like with that team and like with how Dylan likes to play, he likes to go rogue and play the weird corners and like, you know, get in your spawn and play it aggressive and really push the pace.
Be by himself.
Right. So, and then like in that FaZe series, he was just getting smoked.
Mhm.
Oh my word. It was just like isolated kill after isolated kill, no trades coming through. Now FaZe has a 3v4, push up the map, you're done for. Like that control, like, oh my gosh, it was so bad.
It was rough.
Yeah. So it's like, I have a lot of question marks now. I mean, like, I went from feeling really good about them after that, you know, but like you look at their only really impressive win would be their 3-0 versus LAG in their first series they had against each other.
Mhm.
You know, they played Apocalypse Hardpoint, which again, that was like the first weekend it was available to play. So that can be a little fluky.
Mhm.
Then they played Miami S&D, which I mean, we've seen Gorilla be pretty good at.
Yeah.
and they beat them on it. So that was pretty impressive. And then they played a checkmate control, which is kind of like, I feel like Paul's playground, probably where he plays the best would be checkmate control. And we even saw them beat the subliners on checkmate control. And then I think teams started banning it against them. It looks like then they played Garrison twice. So they probably started banning it against them.
Yeah.
And then they lost the Garrisons. So if you're not playing checkmate against them, I think you might be in a good spot.
Yeah.
Which is interesting to say the least. So
I will say though, too, like on that week 2 when they played New York, the result was a 3-1 New York, but
yeah, we went.
It was an extremely close 3-1.
Yeah, because New York was up. They were down 5-1, 5-2 in the S&D on Express, and they came back and won it. And then both hard points were close.
Yeah. So the first hard point was 209, 250. Second hard point was 250, 230. The S&D was 5-6, and the control was 3-2. So it's like they're playing some good COD the first 2 weeks.
And then here comes the Ultra. And then just bodies them in the response.
Exactly. So I don't know. This could be a thing where they had like just a pretty bad week of Call of Duty.
Could.
Like we saw with the OpTic.
Yeah.
They got 3-0 twice.
I mean, it happens. It definitely happens, but it was bad. And
they got better. We can't deny it. I think London got better still from all the roster changes. Yeah, but it's like when you see the improvement,
if you see the improvement from other teams like Seattle and LAG and, the Ultra.
I think it overshadows them.
It's like, I did a power rankings video today, and I put London at 11. It's like it's hard to trust them.
Yeah.
And so that makes it tough. I'm not very excited about this team moving forward, even though I was so excited about them a week and a half ago, which is so crazy. Yeah. And that really sucks. So we'll see. We'll talk more about them in a second.
For the 3 that would drop, like I'll put London in mine too, to be honest.
Okay.
Mutineers in London.
Yeah, those feel like very likely changes. Is there another team that comes to mind where it's like, obviously LA Thieves, we kind of already touched on that though. They'd probably be the third most likely team to make another roster change, if not the most likely.
Even still, I'd put them at LA Thieves probably.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, so then out of LAG, Ultra, and Paris, do you think any of them could semi-likely make a roster change before the next major, like in the next week and a half?
Between LA Thieves,
LAG, Ultra, and Paris. Obviously, we kind of already touched on Paris.
I don't think LAG do.
No.
Ultra.
I think Ultra potentially.
But it feels like they're going to stick with it a little bit
that's
longer.
my thing too, is like they just 3-0'd. Like,
they just 3-0'd London.
Yeah. And so
they're going to play OpTic. They're probably going to lose.
Yeah.
So then they'll get knocked down and they'll play. How does that work? They'll knock down and play. I have to do the bracket in my head, but they'll go play losers match. So if they go 0-2 though, that's going to be kind of disappointing for them.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They could stick it out, but then at some point, do you replace Bance on that team?
I know he's had good moments though.
Or do you replace either Cammy Kleenex?
No, it's Bance.
Think so?
It's definitely Bance.
Yeah. To me,
they're going to stick it out.
To me, it seems like Bance would be your option, but I think they do stick it out for a little bit.
For sure. Because I think there's just some other like really high upside SMGs out there still. And the challengers, EU especially, has a lot of guys. Yeah. They could bring over somebody.
Yeah.
And it could be really, really interesting. So yeah, no, do you agree with that, Rex? As like Ultra being the next most likely, but not for at least a little while? Yeah.
I don't think Paris will. I think they're bros for one, but I also think the org is just not going to do
cheapskates. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
And LAG won't because, again, they're that solid 4. And we saw Rocker last year didn't make a change to the end.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. I mean, is there any other storylines real quick that you want to talk about with all of this going down? I mean, we're going to talk about all of these teams in the predictions and it'll probably take a little bit to go through. So if you just want to hop into it, we can.
Yeah. I mean, I'm down.
See what we get into. All right, baby. Oh, I actually hit a drop. All right, let's get right into our predictions. Where is it? Let's go. Okay, so this is going to be spicy. It's going to be interesting to say the least. Sam, you're going to have to lead the discussion here with what maps we're on or which matchups we got going.
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to be showing you guys this one on the screen. I don't know if do you guys want to do like I don't know if you guys want to like, how do you want to do this?
We
didn't really talk about a pre-case.
Pre-case.
I think we just do group decision
Group
again.
decisions will go by majority rules.
Do it.
Alrighty. So first matchup, want to start in winner's bracket? There?
Let's do winner's bracket.
Oh, baby. Okay, so we're going to start with OpTic versus Ultra.
Yeah.
In the first round of the winner's bracket. The winner will go on to play Atlanta FaZe, and that'll be a juicy one, to say the least. Rex, take us away with your thoughts on this matchup.
Now we're in tournament mode. OpTic has found life again, a little bit more life at least. They beat Empire, so like, woo, they're pumped.
They got their mojo back.
Kind of. So like, you know,
The
but
vibes are back.
how long will the mojo last? But at least they got a little bit of a refill.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say OpTic 3. Let's go OpTic 3-1.
This feels like a 3-1 to me.
Yeah, that's fair. I do want to spend a little bit of time talking about OpTic and kind of that Dallas match for a second, because we're about to talk about Dallas anyway, so I think it's kind of fair to talk about that match.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, again, we saw OpTic come off of the most disappointing week of all time.
6.
And then they come out and look good.
Really good.
Really good. And they 3-0'd Seattle. And then they came out and played a really good series against Dallas. And so the question mark is, is that Dallas playing a bad series, or was that OpTic playing a good series?
Dallas have some issues right now.
Dallas has some issues, dude. They have some issues. And they're one of the worst S&D teams in the league. How has this happened?
Yeah.
What's
they got
happened?
issues.
And the thing is that Shotzi even played well in this weekend, and like they still were losing S&Ds. Like he was actually out there getting first bloods and doing good work for them, and they couldn't capitalize.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just really inconsistent. It was not good, man.
They seem a little lost.
Yeah, like it's hard to like pinpoint too, because it was hilarious. Like there was that the raid search and destroy. There was just that one round where like Maven was like trying to ask Merc a question, and the round was over in like 5 seconds. He was like, "Well,
yeah." He's all sprinting
out.
towards ring.
Like to me, it seems like they'll just all individually get killed. Like there's no rhyme or reason for their positioning, and like especially with that one where Dylan Envoy was in the ring, and then Ilya pushes him.
Oh yeah, the one that
Ilya
Merc
and
was
Crim are
talking
both
about.
there.
Yeah.
Ilya pushes him single-handedly, dies, and then Crim pushes him and then dies.
This is why Merc's the best commentator.
he's
He
great.
points out these things in match where I'm like, dude, that was so bad, and then Merc says it immediately. I'm
Yeah.
like, let's go, Merc.
Yeah.
You're sick.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
But then it's like things like that where it's like
Like Ilya had no reason to
it
push
makes
that.
no sense.
Yeah.
Although Envoy did get like a pretty disgusting kill on him.
Yeah,
you
fair.
know. But still, like you both should be pushing that out pretty hard. If you know,
I agree.
If you know it's there.
And in that first hard point, it's like Dallas like solely relied on retakes, and OpTic was playing bad in that first hard point.
Mhm.
And like OpTic outslayed them pretty bad, if I remember right, in that first hard point,
I think so.
and lost like really, really close. It was like a really fun Moscow hard point, but OpTic could have easily won that. And Dallas is definitely just not looking good. I mean, they Dallas 3-0'd the Mutineers, and of course they got 3-1 by the Rocker. They beat Paris, and they like the results are there. They're winning the matches.
It's the S&D that's just kind of killing them.
The S&Ds are so bad.
Some sloppy plays on hardpoint sometimes, but gosh, it's weird though, dude. Like,
yeah,
they play up to the level of their opponent.
Yeah,
is what I feel like is what happens, and they don't have like the fire inside so much. Like OpTic had that issue of like a fire inside, but then honestly, it feels like OpTic gets way more hyped about playing against Dallas Empire than Empire gets about playing OpTic.
Yeah,
and this
that's
is like
fair.
the time for OpTic needs to redeem themselves. It's Empire, perfect storyline for us to like be seen as good by the fans again and really save our butts, right? Empire, I think, is more of like each match is its own thing. They don't have this sort of like thing behind it.
Yeah,
which I think in the long run that's sustainable. But you got to start being, you got to be good. You got to play to.
I mean, do you trust Dallas
against
to
yourself?
bring the intensity?
That's what Empire's doing.
Yeah, and like, but the thing is, in a match like that, you expect Dallas to bring the intensity. I mean, that was
for sure.
pretty important placing, in that match. And the loser of that match was going to play New York in the first round. You'd rather not play New York in the first round.
Mhm.
But like it's a league match, and like Dallas has the issue. They don't have that. They're just a game, a series by series team, which is like, I think correct because it's sustainable. But when someone comes out who has a major fire against you, and you don't have that same fire, but like we're just going to play our game and just do what we need to do. It doesn't work as well because like they're just beating themselves, and clearly they have some things that are just broken. So there's no fire to ride, and they're not playing well.
For sure.
But even that listening though, like you could tell, like Crim wanted to win. Like
100%.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I do get like what you're saying, but like to me, I do think this is just like something fundamentally just wrong right now with the team, and like you can't even say it's one person. It's like all of them combined are just
all of them.
not clicking. So like
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say a team change is needed by any means. It's just more of why, like, how do they fall off with each other?
Yeah, I think fairly enough, like they're just not playing. That's the thing, is they're not playing great fundamental COD, but they're still a top 5 team in the league.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
And they're playing
Their skills
fundamentally
amazing.
bad COD as a whole, consistently.
Yeah.
And they're still winning. Well, most of the majority of the far majority of their matches.
Exactly.
So it's like they're going to be just fine in the long term.
They should
but
figure it out.
It is just a rocky road here, my word. And like it definitely doesn't inspire confidence heading into a first round match. So in regards to our matches here, I left that on the Rex cam that whole time. My bad.
Hey.
YouTube. We got to see a lot of Rex for there. Which is never a bad thing, never a bad thing. But I do agree, 3-1 OpTic feels very fair in that first round. I mean, you have to give OpTic the advantage inside for sure of hardpoint and control.
Yep.
Even though OpTic hardpoint's been a little iffy lately. As a whole, OpTic's control is obviously where you still believe in this team. Even though they ended up losing it to Dallas on checkmate, which was surprising, I think as a whole. And like for Dallas to win like that, you got to feel good about that as a Dallas fan. There are some legit questions still with OpTic and how they play, and I'm definitely not fully confident in them as a team.
Yeah.
3-1 feels safe. It could be a 3-0.
Mhm.
Would I be shocked if it went to a 3-2?
No.
No, right?
But there is even something to say too, like with everyone doubting Dashy without the QB or the XM form.
Again,
he's finding his form with the Krig now.
Right. I think that kind of the idea from Dashy was that the Krig was too slow. Like it was never going to fit his play style. But like we found out that it's pretty dang good even in that intermediate range. Yeah. And he was doing some nasty with it.
Yeah, I think we're going to start seeing more like 2 Krig, 2.
That's what it's going to be. Although Formal was putting out the QBZ.
He was during that search. I was like,
and he looked good with it,
he did.
Which is interesting. Maybe it's just kind of like that top plane play.
Top plane, I think, is like the more like QBZ-ish.
They apparently just feel like that's the range for the QBZ, which is interesting to say the least. Yeah. Okay. I'll stick with 3-1.
Yeah.
I'm good with that. Okay. So now let's head down to the Empire New York match.
This is going to be a good one.
That's a tough call.
I don't think it is.
You think it's subliners?
I'm bought in. The subliners are winning this. This is a 3-1.
Wow. Kali.
At this point, I have more faith in the subliners in every single game mode.
Empire are going to be so down bad if they lose to subliners next.
Oh, they're going to be down bad if they lose to subliners. I mean, if they lose to Empire. What? No, to subliners. It's going to be bad.
Yeah.
I mean, thoughts. I mean, control maybe is where you would
Control, I feel like you would say Empire.
Empire.
But then Hardpoint
But it depends
and
on the
Search.
map that they play.
True. Search for sure not.
No.
You're giving that to New York.
Yeah, for sure.
Hardpoint could be a toss-up.
I mean, you never know. Like, if Shotzi has a day or Hook has a day, it completely changes the game, right?
100%. So the last time we saw them play was at the major.
It was the major.
And Dallas 3-0'd them.
Yeah.
And that was on Crossroads checkmate. So a lot has changed since then, though, since the last time they played. And that was, again, 250-213, 6-5, 3-2. If you remember right, that was like the closest best 3-0 of all time.
Yeah.
And it does get really, really interesting from there. Of course, previously in the series, Dallas had reverse swept them. in the group play matches last stage. So I don't know, man. I'm a firm believer that I think the Subliners have been playing legitimately great COD, and like you've got to feel good about them moving forward. I mean, they've 3-1'd basically everyone they've played. They've 3-1 Gorillas, they've 3-1 Royal Ravens, they've 3-1 the Ultra. Of course, we don't necessarily think that all those teams are that great.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of depends what you think about the Gorillas.
Yeah.
But man, like, dude, but Ace and Mac just do some nasty, nasty stuff.
And
sometimes.
Max looked so good in that Ultra series. And that's such good news.
But can they pull off that nasty stuff against a
Dallas?
Shotzi
Yeah.
and Hook and
It's
Illy?
a little different.
Yeah.
It is.
And that's where the difference is.
I
Like
know.
Shotzi wins a lot of his ones. Like
yeah. And
Shotzi
Shotzi's been
wins
playing
a
better
lot
lately.
of his ones.
He's been playing better lately.
I'm going to say 3-2 Subliners.
I'm doing 3-2 subliners as well.
I got outvoted. Okay,
But
fine.
Empire. You said you wanted 3.
3-1.
I said 3-1.
Yeah, I think I'm going 3-2 subliners.
Okay, interesting. What were you going to say, Rex?
I don't remember.
Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah, no, it is. It's gonna. That's definitely the most exciting match of the first round. I mean, holy moly! Like, obviously, I want Dallas to keep it competitive because it's way more fun when they're great.
Yeah.
But it's more fun being on a subliners train. No pun intended. All right, want to hop down to the loser side of things?
Let's do it.
All right, so YouTube, this is what we got so far for the brackets here.
Mhm.
All right, loser side of things, we got LAG versus the Mutineers in round 1 here.
Man.
The winner will go on to play Seattle Surge. And this is an interesting one, too. What do you believe about these two teams? First of all, before you give your picks, I want to hear some reasoning, some state the facts, state the case. Where you at this one, Rex? Fire away.
LAG 3-1. Mutineers are going to be wanting to come out, a little bit hotter, but like it's just not going to pick up like they want. Awakening will have these pop off moments, but Gorillas are so technically sound and Mutineers are so technically, not sound. So I feel like Gorillas are just going to come out and just take care of business, honestly. But Mutineers will get a map and like it might be like the first hard point, but then after that, Gorillas will just start taking control.
Man.
Unless Awakening has some crazy S&Ds and he can pull his team.
Which is possible. Very
carry
possible.
his team in an S&D. If Awakening can do it.
They're X
maybe.
factors, and that's just how it goes. Again, it's so tough. In my power rankings, I had Mutineers at 10.
It sounds
But
so
it's like
wrong.
that feels so wrong in every way
It does.
because we know how talented these guys are individually with Awakening and Skies. Yeah. And Neptune's has had some awesome moments on the year. Slack inside controls look great. But LAG, they're just the slow and steady wins the race.
I know.
And they just play sound COD and their fundamentals are great.
Plus, they're coming off the high of beating FaZe and then 3-0 in Thieves. It's like, oh,
yeah, but it's like the
They
problem
want to
is
cement it right here. They have to cement it.
I feel like I have to pick LAG here, but I have never been more nervous of picking someone who's probably favored somewhat heavily than this. I'm going to go 3-2. No chance I'm going 3-1.
No.
LAG takes both S&Ds. They win 3-2.
Because Florida can win this. That's
They
the
can
thing.
win any of the respawns. They can win.
That's the thing. But
They
it's
could
like,
win.
will they?
Yeah, they could steal an S&D. Any of the maps could work. And it kind of depends on what maps they end up playing. Right now, LAG is 5-1 on raid S&D. And besides that, they basically are average on every other map in S&D. So if you're the Mutineers, you get raid S&D to fluff out of there.
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry. Wait. Oh, yeah. The LAG is 3-1 on raid S&D. They are. Wait, I'm so confused. I thought they were 5-1. Oh, the Ultra are 5-1. Right? Okay, no, they're 3-1. I got them switched around. Yeah, the Gorillas are 3-1 in raid S&D. They've been really, really good. They've been good on Miami as well. So you kind of have to choose your. Would you rather play them on Miami or raid? And that's tough. The last time they played, the Mutineers won 3-1, and that was at the end, right before the first major they played. But that was a while back, obviously. So, Sam, thoughts?
To me, I think it was going to be a 3-2 LAG. over and over again, like I've like wanted to like give this Florida team like, okay, they're finally gonna get this. They're finally gonna get it. And they 3-0 OpTic, but was that an OpTics while they were down bad?
I mean, obviously.
You know what I mean? They were. So, dude.
Right. The Mutineers' 2 wins this series were against the Rocker, but that was without Standy, pre-Standy, before and after Standy.
Yep.
BS and AS.
And then OpTic.
And then OpTic. So that does make it interesting. And then they got 3-0 by Dallas. They lost 3-1 to Legion.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to go 3-2. I think are we all in agreement here?
3-2 feels right. 3-2 feels right. It definitely doesn't feel great.
I'm a 3-1, but we can go 3-2.
You get John on this team, this turns things around.
Oh, 3-0.
They're gonna play. They're gonna play checkmate control. That's interesting. The Mutineers could definitely win this.
They can.
Good.
Again, that's the thing. Is like, you know, even though I have LAG at 7, I have the Mutineers at 10. It comes down to matchups, and I like the Mutineers matchup against LAG here. It definitely makes me worried, but I'll stick with LAG 3-2. All right, so. All right, losers next round, or the bottom of the losers bracket here for you YouTube folk. Here we are. We got Paris versus LA Thieves. Winner goes on to play the London Royal Ravens. I mean, I think we all got to be leaning the Paris side of things here, right?
Absolutely.
How you feeling about Paris at this point? They're a tough team to get a read on.
It's hard to read them.
They are a tough team to get a read on.
Thoughts, Rex?
I mean, this is Paris's time. They either got to show it or blow it. Really, that's really what it comes down to. And it kind of hurts in a way that you're going into like LA Thieves with, now they get this, you know, revamped roster. So like, no one really knows what to expect from them. They might just be going totally chaotic, and Paris is not prepared to handle that. I don't know. I have faith in Paris. I think Paris just needs to have more faith in themselves as a team, as a unit, to really, guys, just take charge. Be confident in yourselves. Be confident in your teammates.
He's talking to Paris again.
And because I want them to win, because it's there. Like, you can watch Paris and you're like, it's right there. And it's just not quite catching. And I feel like it's just like there's a sense of doubt amongst this team or something, where it's like, no, guys, this is it. Like, this is your team. This is it right here. Like, and you can do it. And they can do it. I want them to win. And, you know.
I think they'll win this. 3-1 or 3-0. Thoughts?
I kind of want to lean 3-0, but I'd be okay with 3-1.
Let's go 3-0. I'm going 3-0.
I like 3-1.
Sam?
3-0.
Oh, we're getting spicy. We needed a 3-0 in the first round, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of how it goes. Okay, let's start on the loser side of things then and go back down there. So we got what?
Surge versus LAG.
Surge versus Gorillas in the losers round 2.
Yeah.
Thoughts on this Surge team?
I'm liking the Surge team.
Technical v technical. Let's see.
So a semi-technical versus technical.
I feel like Surge is more like Gunless is popping off. Pristini is coming out of their shell.
That reverse sweep versus Rocker was pain.
That was such pain, dude. I was like, dude, this team's looking so good, and then no.
After that control where they lost 3-1, you're like, oh no, here we go. Buckle in.
Yeah.
And then you get down to the Miami and they're going down, and then that 3v1 where they accuracy diffuses with goodness, what was
pain.
Octane didn't hear. Oh man, it was just cringeworthy. But
it was.
In their last few matches, you know, the Surge have beat the Mutineers 3-1. They lost to Empire 3-2. They 3-0'd the Legion. They got 3-0'd by the OpTic, and then they lost in a reverse sweep to the Rocker 3-2.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going 3-1 Gorillas.
What?
Yep. 3-1 Gorillas. I just remembered that last S&D that Surge played and how much it just made me upset. And I'm going Gorillas 3-1. It was bad. I was getting visibly frustrated with just what was just happening.
Yeah.
I was like, well, clearly they don't have things figured out. And Gorillas just seems like a team that does.
Man.
And Gorillas clearly is not scared. Like, they don't get scared, and they go into every match with, you know, a very level-headed mindset, but still wanting to win.
Yeah, it's hard. Again, it is hard to pin down.
Spark.
For sure. It's hard to pin down this team, though, the Surge team, with, like, where they actually click, you know? The 3-0 against the Legion, it was like, what? It's out of place because, you beat the Mutineers 3-2, which I'm okay, fine.
Yeah.
Then you lose in a really insanely close series to Dallas.
Oh, super close.
Where Dallas won both S and Ds, which is worrying for Surge.
Yeah.
And then they lose their S. They win their Miami S and D versus Legion dominantly. They lose to OpTic 3-0, and OpTic dominated them. And then you get reverse swept. And I don't know, Sam, what are your thoughts?
To me, I feel like I do agree with the whole argument with LAG do have things figured out.
Pristini's played well.
But like
the minute they lose momentum.
I know, but don't you give Seattle Surge the advantage in the slaying route? Like just like pure skill, and Gunless and Pristini are figuring it out. Like consistently they are figuring it out.
They are.
So
Gorillas
they're trending
already
up.
Kind of did.
Yeah.
Gorillas are already on their way. Gorillas and Surge are like brothers to me. And Gorillas is the older brother.
But at some point, the younger brother's got to hit his growth spurt, and then he's going to be way better than the older brother.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the Surge right now seems like they have the minute Gorillas just seems so solidified in their mental game. Whereas Surge, when something doesn't go their way and things start falling apart.
But how do you explain the Gorillas getting 6-0'd
crumble
by Ultra? Do you remember that raid where Ultra 6-0'd in game 5? The Gorillas? That was horrible.
It was a pretty bad game 5.
Again, the Ultra are incredibly good at raid.
Yeah.
They're 5-1 on raid. So it's like, and the Gorillas are 3-1, with their only loss is to Ultra. So it is interesting. Man, I'm really torn. Okay, Rex, so what's your official thing? You're going 3-1?
Gorillas 3-1.
I'm going to make Sam make the choice because I need to say mine first. Seattle 3-1.
I honestly was gonna say Seattle 3-1.
Does
I feel
Gorillas
so bad about
3-0ing
this.
phase mean nothing to anybody?
It means, again, my argument I talked about in the breakdown video was, FaZe had only played Miami S&D twice, and it was against OpTic and Dallas early in the year, two teams who are not good at S&D. And so they were 2-0 on it, but didn't really mean much. And then they played Gorillas, got smoked on it. Then, of course, FaZe wins the first hard point and the control. Then they play Apocalypse. And Apocalypse, it all comes down to winning a spawn and holding a hill, and that's what Gorillas do. That's all they do. Is just on those types of unbreakable hills are really, really good. And it's on a map that FaZe really had only played once. And so it's you win a map that FaZe had only played once. And then you play Express, a map that FaZe had not won. And then so FaZe was trying to develop their map pool. They would never play those maps if this series meant more to them. Because they had already secured a top 2 seed, and then Gorillas had already secured a bottom 2 seed in that series. It's in my head, it just came FaZe came in a little flat. They also were trying some new maps, and things flipped on its head. And then we saw what FaZe did to London.
Yeah, pretty bad.
There's obviously something went awry for FaZe in that series. And I don't know. That's kind of why it doesn't mean as much to me. So I'm definitely more, because there's some people who are like, all right, LAG's legit, they beat FaZe. And then the other argument is that it's totally fluky. I'm somewhere in the middle where obviously there is some legitimacy to it because LAG played really well and Silly was playing great. And FaZe was stunned. They're like, what is happening? We're getting bodied. And it was bad. So there is something to it. But at the same time, I don't think you can overreact to it, So anyway, long story short, this is going to be an hour and a half long breakdown.
Yes.
You know what, Josh? You actually make some valid points. You make some valid points there.
That's why I'm really nervous.
London also 3-0'd LAG too, by the way. So it's if you want to use that roundabout reasoning, where London 3-0's LAG.
Yeah, that was in week 1 of stage 2.
Uh-huh.
And London 3-0'd them. But again, that was on Apocalypse. It's a little bit weird. It was on Miami though.
So it's there's that same thing though too. It's you can use that kind of reasoning to go about it, but I don't know.
LAG was on a 5-game losing streak before they beat FaZe, and then they beat the worst team in the CDL.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's why I'm nervous about the Florida match. I'm terrified about the Florida match.
Yeah, that is true. Because really, if you're FaZe, you don't go into that game with any sort of
LAG was on a
hype.
5-game losing streak.
It's like, okay, let's just try some things,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So,
And they caught FaZe with their pants down.
You know what? I doubted LAG last week. I'm not going to doubt him again.
See, that's kind of my reasoning though too. But I do think Surge have been
messed
improving.
myself up last time.
I think you should stick with that. You should stick with the LAG 3-2 because I think you believe it. But I'm still going to go Seattle 3-1. I'm going Seattle 3-1.
You make some good points about that FaZe match. I remember thinking that as well. But it's just like you're playing Apocalypse, you're playing these different map. Like it made sense. And I went back and looked at what LAG's like won. It hasn't been a lot lately.
Yeah. So that's tough. All right.
Yeah.
The next losers match here.
London v Paris.
London, Paris. This is interesting. What do you believe about these two teams? Let's kick it off spicy. Let's try to keep up our pace a little bit here. Though.
Yeah. I do think London. Oh gosh, this is gonna be hard not to take too long on this.
Well, this is the last match that we're talking about a new team, so then we'll have a little bit more data to go off of after that.
Yeah. Am I gonna be the only one favoring London here?
I don't know. I think my gut instinct says I should pick Paris.
Do we think that these Ravens being 3-0'd is a sign of impending doom for this team? One was versus FaZe, so it's like, okay, well, FaZe is obviously
the Ultra one's the worrying one.
Ultra was the one was like,
the worst.
holy, what is happening?
Yeah,
here?
they played terrible, and then they might just be down bad vibes, and they get smoked by by FaZe.
Absolutely
The question, I mean, like in that game, in the FaZe series or in the Ultra series, you just saw nothing that made you think that they're going to be fine.
Yeah.
But like, I hate when I overreact to one map and it's like, or one
hard.
series.
Well, Paul played terrible in that too. And like,
Yeah, I mean, their whole
think we're in
team played
agreement, Paul.
terrible. Yeah.
is going to be more up.
I suppose you give Hardpoint possibly.
I'm going Legion.
Think Legion.
I'm going
Really?
Legion 3-2.
I'm
I'll
Ravens
have
3-1.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
To me,
I am
I
too.
give the S&D.
Wow, we're really switching roles here.
I give the S&D to Paris.
It favors Paris.
The control could go either
Paul
way.
is such a big brain, though, man.
He is.
Paul
Man.
gives me awakening vibes.
Yeah. Facts. Wait, so why are you going 3-1, Rex?
I feel like the London we saw before is not going to be the London we see now. I think Paul's game is going to be up enormously. I think Zed is going to play out of his mind. And then Dylan, if Dylan can just stay consistent and stay with Zed at least, then I think it could pull off really well. And Shawnee's going to do Shawnee things, and Shawnee will be all right. But I think really the force of Paul and Zed are going to be the things that really carry this through. Paris has kind of had they have heart, and I love their heart, but something is not quite sticking where they want it to. It's like it just falls short, just every inch right before it just falls a little bit short.
These teams are lucky they're playing each other.
And Ravens just got some star
Surge
power.
and LAG are both better teams than London and Paris right now.
For sure.
So the fact that they're playing each other is really lucky for one of them.
It's a blessing.
Yeah.
The battle for Europe.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, okay, Sam, break the tie.
Okay. I came in thinking London, but I think I'm going to go Paris. And I think it's going to be the 3.
Dude, if we get the classic that we saw against Florida, Paris ain't losing another series. They're dropping nukes.
I can see a 3-2 Paris, with Paris taking both S&Ds and then swiping the control or one hard point.
They can take a hard point.
Yeah. So that is mine.
All right, let's get it. 3-1 or 3-2, I mean. 3-2.
3-2.
Paris. Okay, so let's go up to winner's bracket. We got the juicy matchups now here.
Oof.
FaZe v OpTic and Rocker v Subliners.
Phase 3-1.
Yeah. FaZe
That's my
3-1.
prediction.
How do you not say phase 3-1?
It could be FaZe 3-2.
Could be a phase 3-0.
It could be a 3-2.
But it's going to be phase.
Yeah. Like, how much more analysis do you need besides FaZe just looks like a tier above everyone else still?
But they lost to LAG.
But now they're playing for something, and they're playing against OpTic too. So like that's so much hype they can just devour, you know. So like, FaZe likes to devour hype. LAG, there's not much pickings there, you know. OpTic, a lot of pickings on that one. That's a full meal right there. It's a good meal. They're on the hunt.
Okay, fair. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, you just look at it. You know, you look at Hardpoint, FaZe, S&D, FaZe.
Control? OpTic, maybe.
FaZe.
You think so?
I mean,
I'm fine going FaZe 3-0, honestly.
No,
But OpTic's got that.
There's just no
OpTic's
way
got some
3-0.
fire juice. Like they just aren't going to allow.
No, yeah.
One of
They'll
them.
steal one of them. They'll steal one of them for sure. And it's not like OpTic's been a bad team in any of those game modes. Well, S&D is debatable.
You know what's funny is I think FaZe is going to play OpTic. FaZe is going to let OpTic take one map, and FaZe is going to be upset about it. They're going to be like, we let him win a map. And then they're going to win the next one. That's what's going to happen.
OpTic's just going to choose a bunch of checkmates, and then that's all. They're just going to play checkmates. And it'll be just toss-ups. But
last time these teams played, it was a 3-2 FaZe, and OpTic almost could have had a 3-1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you remember that insane and Beezy play on Moscow, P4, because only 4.
Yeah, P4. Yeah, that's fair.
So,
Again, I don't think it's crazy for this to go 3-2.
no.
I mean, percentage-wise, I'd give it like a 70-30
Yeah.
FaZe, maybe more.
Yeah.
But it is crazy right now with how confident I am in FaZe. I haven't been this confident in a team in a
Yeah.
long time.
It's like
In a long time.
Yeah.
everyone really should be. Like, come on. It's hard not to be.
Yeah. All right. Next, we got Rocker v Subliners here. Here you go, YouTube, by the way. We haven't showed this in a second. So we got Rocker v Subliners up next. And this is another interesting one, man. This is our last team that we haven't yet talked about, the Rocker. And what do you believe about this team? Obviously, in their last few matchups, they've looked great. They're on a 3-game winning streak with some impressive wins along the way. So what do you believe about these two teams? The Rocker, they beat OpTic, they beat Empire, they beat the Surge. Now can they beat the New York Subliners? Rex, where you at?
I'm going Subliners 3-1.
What
on
if
this.
Rocker just flop here? Like, they just flop.
I mean,
That's
they
what I'm
could
saying.
flop or
Subliners got
fry.
that organization. Subliners also got the pace, and the fire. Whereas Rocker is
Actually,
like
Paris has the fire.
they're
the fire.
there,
Ba-dum.
but
Fire emoji.
Rocker I feel like lacks in the organization department still.
Well, I mean, yeah, the question mark is hard points, and like you have to give the advantage to hard points to New York.
Yes.
S&D's very tight. That's
tight.
really close. Yeah, those are
Yeah.
toss-ups. It depends on the maps they play, probably.
Yeah, no. Looks like Subliners are 10-8 currently in S&D.
Well, I mean, and the Rocker, it's been tough. They're 4-1 since they
Added
I
standing.
think since they added Standy.
Yeah.
They're 4-1 in S&D since they added Standy, 3-0 in controls, and 2-4 in hard points.
Yeah.
Since they added Standy. Control's interesting as well. I mean,
It is.
before you would have for sure said New York had the advantage, but so far they're 3-0 in control since adding Standy, so it is tough.
Yeah.
3-2, New York.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts, Rex? It could be
I'm
a 3-1.
3-1 New York.
Okay, that's fair.
I think 3-2. I'm not entirely sold. New York
It could be a
can put it
3-1.
away.
Yeah, I'm going to get 3-2. I'll go 3-2. Alrighty. Now down to our losers matchups here. Read them off, Sammy.
Alrighty. So now we've got Ultra versus the Surge. And then
Another interesting one.
below that we've got
Dallas.
Empire versus Paris Legion.
Okay. All right. Ultra v Surge. This is tough, bro. Again, these two teams are very difficult to
Mhm.
read. Man, one of these two teams is going to finish top 6.
It's weird.
That's fair. Fair play to Ultra for finishing top 3 in their group, for giving
Yeah.
them a chance to be here. I really want to believe in the Ultra. You know,
Yeah.
the question mark, there's just so many question marks. But there's so many question marks with Seattle. This is the most difficult bracket to pick we might have all year long. With
It is crazy.
it feels like so little data to go off of because everyone's beat everyone. Okay. Ultra, recently, I like their chances in control. very much like their chances in control in this in a series against Seattle. So the question mark is, can they win an S&D? Can they win a hard point?
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily know if they can. I'm going to go 3-2 Surge. 3-2 Surge. They're going to veto raid S&Ds. They'll win a game 5 like on like, I don't know, checkmate. Or something
Good
like
old
that.
checkmate.
Good old checkmate.
Man.
I think if it's checkmate, I would honestly I feel like it'd be Sir or Ultra
No, Ultra 0-2 at checkmate.
or Surge.
I can pull it up in a second. Keep talking while I look. Take your time, boys.
I mean, you say 0-2, but like that's not that many. That's 2 maps.
No, yeah, I agree.
So like
where did
in
Seattle
Ultra,
go?
I feel like Cammy and Kleenex are just gonna be able to kind of run the house.
Surge are
in
3-2.
I mean, Ultra also has more VOD on Surge.
Well, okay. I mean, it could be plenty of maps, but I just gave out an example. But yeah, anyway,
Yeah.
they're not going to play raid.
I think Surge is for sure taking this. I'd give Surge 3-1.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Bold.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm bold.
Rexy, you're definitely lower on Surge.
I am
you didn't
like
you picked
I
them to
do
lose last
believe in
time.
Surge. I believe they're climbing, but have they climbed so much that they make it to that?
If it was
elimination
LAG
round
versus
4?
Ultra, who would you take LAG? Because Ultra just beat LAG.
If LAG versus Ultra, I think I would.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'll go with Surge. I'm okay with Surge.
Okay. What's your map count?
That's a hard read. I'll go Surge 3-2.
Okay, that's fair.
I had 3-1 Surge, didn't I? Would you have? Did you
I had
say?
3-2.
Okay, so it's 3-2 then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Man.
Empire versus Legion.
You know what? That doesn't feel right, guys. I don't know. It's just a gut feeling. I'm going Ultra versus Ultra Surge 3-1.
Wait, you're taking Ultra?
I'm taking Ultra 3-1.
Okay, well, we're still taking Surge because
Yeah.
me and Sam have Surge, but
Okay.
For the
well, it
record.
just didn't feel right. And I had to
you had to get that off your chest. Okay, that's fair. All right, Empire v Paris.
I'm going to say 3-0.
Empire 3-1.
I'm thinking 3-0.
3-1. I'll go 3-1.
Dang it. Yeah.
S&Ds. I mean, at
That's
this
true.
point,
S&D, I
Look,
guess.
Empire could lose anything. They're so inconsistent. I mean, everyone's inconsistent, but especially in S&D, it's like,
Yeah.
I don't trust them enough to pick a 3-0 right now.
Yeah.
Especially against like a competent team like Paris.
Yeah.
So that's fair. I already hate myself. I said that's fair multiple times.
That's
Sorry,
fair.
podcast.
That's
If you're
fair.
listening, I hate myself. All right.
Rocker versus Surge.
Surge. Oh my goodness. My goodness. Okay, so my thought process immediately is Rocker winning this.
Oh, for sure.
For Surge.
For Surge.
But
I mean, they just
can you
lost in a game 5. Granted, it was like an atrocious game 5, but you don't think they could fix that?
they could. It's
And-
very possible. Surge could make a crazy run here. It's set up for the Surge to make a crazy run.
Can you make, or it is hard to beat a team twice. Very close together.
Yes. I don't think they're going to play a similar map. I'd be surprised if they played similar maps. I'm going to go Rocker 3-1. I think they're going to get better, actually.
I kind of actually am with you, Josh. Rocker 3-1. Rocker
Okay.
3-0, maybe.
No, not 3-0. That's too bold.
Looks like 3-1 it is, boys.
Like, I trust Surge, but I don't want to bank on them finishing top 4. You know? Like,
It is hard. It's
that
like,
doesn't
yeah.
feel right. That does not feel right. No. And it's just like the consistency is just not there. Even though they were up 2-0, they had every reason to win that series. Is there any other X factor there that we're not considering that we're missing? I feel like everything went right for the Surge in that series. They had every chance to make it happen. They still couldn't make it happen. And I still think the Rocker can continually get better.
Mm-hmm. I mean, think about like how good they were with that 1 week. Like they're just gonna get better.
That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
Unless it's still that honeymoon
Honeymoon
phase
period.
that everyone talks about constantly with the rocker. But
True.
I really do believe in this team with the roles and how well that's been sifting out for them. So, all right, let's stick with the 3-1 then. Rex, you go with that?
I'm good with that.
Okay. We got another doozy here.
Jeez.
We got OpTic v Empire now in the headed for the one's not finishing top 4. One of them is not finishing top 4 in this scenario. Who you got? Empire or OpTic in a rematch of this insane series we just had? I believe in OpTic in this series.
I was going to say, do you think Empire's S&D has improved within a week? That they can beat OpTic?
Right. And does OpTic lose that match if like you run it back another hard point like that on Moscow? Like OpTic doesn't lose again, do they?
I don't
They don't
think
make the
so.
same mistakes again, do they? Right? I'm going OpTic 3-1. Uh-oh.
I'm trying to get a read from the
Oh, wait, were you
COD
just?
gods.
Oh, wait, you just? I thought we lost you.
no, he was
You
the whole
were,
time.
you were in deep thought over there.
I'm in trance. I'm going through every scenario in my head. I'm praying to the COD gods that they'll speak to me and give me the answers here.
To me, it does feel like an OpTic 3-1. I don't think they mess up that hard point again.
But does Empire lose from their mistakes? There are a team that feels like they're tougher to beat a second time.
Exactly. That's exactly it, Josh. And OpTic's juice, is OpTic's juice going to be there? That's how OpTic has been surviving, is with juice.
But when
Are
they're
they going to have mojo by this point?
when your S&D is that bad, though, that doesn't just change over a week.
But if you're playing the same team you lost to before, and you might have a day to prepare for it, maybe. But they had a day to, they had multiple days to prepare for their match against OpTic last time.
And they played them before too. So
yeah,
it's like,
I don't know, man. And it's like if with respawns going the other way this time, I feel pretty good about OpTic 3-1. I feel pretty good about it. Sam?
Yeah.
3-1? Rex? We're going OpTic, so either way, you got to make your stand here.
I haven't lost faith in Empire yet. I'm not like you fools. I'm going to go Empire 3-2.
they win the
Okay,
S&D.
fair.
Wow.
Ah, I said it again. I'm going to kill myself.
That's fair.
I'm done. It's over.
Jeez.
Okay, here we go.
Here we go. FaZe v
FaZe v
Subliners.
Subliners.
3-0.
No.
Really?
No?
3-0?
Oh, yeah, dude.
That's a 3-2.
Okay, which one is more crazy? 3-0 or 3-2?
3-1 here. I don't know. We're kind of right down the middle here. 3-2?
3-2.
Wait, why 3-0, Sam? Speak your thoughts here.
Bro, dude, FaZe are just scary to me, man.
FaZe are scary, but
Our
they
point control
still
and
lost.
S&D?
Not like they can't bleed.
No, they can. Absolutely. But when they're in tournament form,
And you
I
don't
don't know
think
if they do.
ASIM is coming out with the fire?
he probably is.
You don't think Clay is coming out with the fire for
I mean,
this?
3-0 can also be a very close 3-0 too. I'm not saying it's going to be not close 3-0.
I don't think there's no chance, and this will demoralize me to death, but there's no chance FaZe just bloodbaths Subliners.
You don't think so?
No.
This is 3-1.
Subliners.
This is a 3-1. Just like their first
like-
match of the series in the last group, or in the groups.
It was a 3-1.
And they lost around 11 on Express. It could have been a 3-0.
Dude, Subliners do not want to go down like that, man.
Of course they don't.
It's
The
gonna be a
Titanic didn't want to
3-2.
go down.
It's a 3-2.
And it did.
Yeah. Control, you're giving it to FaZe. 100%. Hard point, you're giving it to FaZe.
Subliners could take a hard point.
Okay.
Yeah, they can.
Subliners could take an S&D.
3-1. This is a 3-1. FaZe 3-1.
Okay, well, I think we're doing 3-1 then, aren't we?
Okay, we'll do 3-1. I'm fine. I'm down to take the middle ground, but 3-2.
Yeah.
It is interesting. I mean, there's definitely a side of me where, like, as much as I like watching FaZe play because they're just so dang good, there's a side of me that wants some chaos and wants to see FaZe lose.
Oh, that'd be
You-
cool.
Never doubt the Subliners.
No, yeah, definitely not. Especially in a match that big, like that important. But like,
Yeah.
You know, there's no reason to doubt FaZe at this point. They've given us no reason for that to doubt them in big moments in this game. None. No reason. So at this point, I'm going with the team that has more experience in the big moments. Team that has been here over and over and over. The team that's shown every single match, except against LAG, that they are dominant. It's like, take a FaZe. All right.
Rocker versus OpTic.
For top 3.
For top 3.
This is interesting. The rematch, and this is where you've got, I mean, like, it feels so wrong to not pick OpTic, right?
I know, because OpTic's like, okay, we know what they're bringing now.
This is like full on revenge mode. Like they got 3-0'd last time they played. But maybe
I'm down to take OpTic in this one.
And again, like we saw like a pretty bad Dashy when they were playing. Now Dashy's kind of finding his form.
Is if Rocker's beating Empire, if Rocker's there, they're gonna be competitive.
Oh, of course.
This could go 3-2, but then in 3-2, do you favor the Rocker? You would.
I think it'd be a very close 3-1.
A close 3-1.
Wait, hold on. A 3-2, you favor the Rocker, but Rocker in the past history has not been good at S&D. They're supposed to be, but they haven't.
They've been worse at Hardpoint.
What? No, I mean they've been good with. They're 4-1 in S&D with Standy.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. So far they've been good with Standy. I don't know. I really like both these teams a lot. I think the 3-1 makes a lot of sense.
OpTic 3-1.
OpTic 3-1. Let's go with it. Let's knock it out of the park.
Yeah.
And then Subliners v OpTic to go to a grand final here. This gets spicy.
It does.
Really, really spicy. And where are we at with it?
I could see a Subliners 3-2.
Man, that would be wild.
Yeah, Subliners take both hard points and then like they sneak a hard point. Or sorry, they take both searches and they sneak a hard point.
None of these feel good. Why do none of these options feel good?
Because 2 through 10 are chaos right now in the CDL.
Can we just end it here?
Don't pick a winner.
Tie for
We're
third.
about to make the comment section go crazy. Subliners 3-1.
Why?
Because OpTic does not have the I mean, I was doubting OpTic way before you guys, in previous. I don't know if the juice is going to be there. Subliners is going to come in with the juice.
I freaking hate that.
The juice.
Give me some X's and O's. I need to know why.
OpTic either rides the high of being in a tournament or they crumble.
Subliners beat them last time they played.
OpTic only beat a weakened Dallas Empire. And not even like a weekend, but like Dallas Empire has been looking weak, not great. And they're playing a not great Dallas Empire, which clearly I don't think Dallas Empire played a good match against them.
Definitely not.
So like Empire wasn't even on top of their game. And OpTic was also riding a lot of juice going into this game that went to a 3-2.
I'm thinking
against an Empire that was not playing as well as they could.
But not 3-1. I'll go Subliners 3-2.
I had 3-2, so.
All right, I'm fine with that.
Okay, Subliners 3-2. Oh my word. And we have a rematch, and here we go again. Well, this is a guaranteed FaZe win.
Yeah.
This is best of 9. FaZe win 5-2. Rex? I mean, what's the map
Never
pool?
doubt the Subliners, Josh.
Never doubt the Subliners in a best of 9? How are they going to keep up with FaZe's map pool in a best of 9?
This is going to a 5-4 FaZe.
What?
Oh my.
I mean, first of all, I would love to see this.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
I so badly want to see a 5-9, a 5-4. Hopefully we get one this year. That's all I want. I don't know.
Uh-oh.
But Sam? Wait, Rex, you here?
I'm here.
Okay.
Okay.
You're just lagging for a bit.
Yeah,
it's all good. Sam, so thoughts?
Man, I mean, yeah, I just don't see Subliners taking more than 2 maps. Do you? I mean, like realistically,
I mean, 5-3 isn't the craziest thing ever. I mean, obviously not.
No.
I'm willing to settle 5-3 to meet the middle, but I do think it's gonna be 5-2.
I'm down with a 5-3. You just never doubt the subliners, man. That's just kind of the spoken rule here.
I'm not. I have them in the grand finals.
I know. The juice. That's weird.
Is that
though.
it? Are we going with that?
Subliners phase, dude. That's a weird grand final.
I don't know, man. I don't feel good about that.
New York could even win it.
They could.
I'll do some craziness if New York wins. If New York beats FaZe in a best of 9, I will do some craziness. I don't know what.
Is there a bet forming here, boys, or is this not?
I mean, I don't. What's something reasonable that I could do if Subliners beat FaZe in a best of 9? This is only if they meet in the grand finals. We actually have anything creative? If not, we can like decide it. I can like tweet. I don't know.
I have to think about it.
Yeah, that's fine. I can talk about it like in a live stream or something this weekend. But there it is, boys.
Wow.
That ended up being,
No. Yo, well, there we go.
that ended up being way longer. I
Marathon.
thought we were going to be on pace for like an hour and 25-minute episode today.
Yeah.
And we almost
Never.
are our longest of all time.
Never.
How is this happening every time,
Happens
boys?
every
We got to
time.
freaking figure out a way to make this go faster.
Yeah.
Because people don't like long episodes.
They hate us.
People hate us.
People don't like
Except
us.
the people who are listening right now love it. That's the
Yeah.
problem, is that it's just an echo chamber of you crazy people out there that like listening to us.
That's fair.
Thanks.
Absolute mad lads. Also, guys, by the way, while we're talking about bets, Sam, do we
Holy
need to make
frick.
a bet?
Yeah, sure. There's just a lot of votes coming up for.
Oh, okay, good.
Oh my goodness, I forgot.
We have Sam and I have some exciting news for bets in the
We
future
do.
here.
Yeah.
So, we have some new wagers, some things that we can wager, and what we are wagering is hat bets.
Hat bets.
Hat bets. So if you see here, these are what we can wager. I peed in a pool.
I pee in pools.
Trucker hat. Things you love to see.
Love it.
Absolute flames.
Love it. Here's
Absolute
one.
flames. We've got the poop emoji.
Poop emoji.
The poop emoji hat. And
Yeah,
we've
you got
got the wiener hat. The wiener hat as all potential hat betting options in the future. And I'm actually pissed we did not make a bet today. Is there
Yeah.
anything we disagreed on?
About half of those hats fit my head, by the way. So
Perfect. Yeah, Sam's got a massive freaking
I do have a massive
head.
noggin.
But it's gonna be fun. So in the future we'll be doing
Yes.
hat bets.
Yes.
And it'll be a great time. I pee in pools. Okay, so and that one's not wrong.
Yeah.
But all right, let's move on to intelligent or irrelevant.
That's not
Let's go.
The ability to speak does not make you intelligent.
Okie dokie.
Easy.
Intelligent or irrelevant. What we got? What's the question today?
Question time. Who will be the first to come back on a starting CDL roster? Is it Havoc? Is it Temp? Is it Methods? Or is it Slasher?
Habit temp meant slasher.
I think the people voted for Slasher because I think people think
This is like a not permanent thing.
this is like a not permanent thing for Slasher. That is my guess.
I think people voted slasher also.
That feels the most likely. Yeah, I'll go slasher as well.
Okay, here we go. I'm going to vote for Havoc because I think that's the least likely.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. But so the winner, 43%, Methods.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
No Zinny, no Winnie.
And then second place,
huh?
the second place, 37% is Slasher.
Wow.
So Methods by far
Wait,
the
who
way
got
took it.
bodied then?
Havoc actually beat Temp.
Really?
Havoc 10%, and then Temp 8.9%.
Wow, that's a
So
surprise.
wow, you guys are down on Temp.
Dang, Methods, really? Wait, who would Methods? Is there any comments for what people think Methods would go to?
Here's a great comment from It's Asem. Methods is just better, LOL.
Wow, good insight there. This is what we like to see. No pun intended. Okay, any other comments about like what people think about why Methods would be there?
Surge Vibe Master just tweeted Major Maniac.
Gosh dang it.
Okay, sorry.
Oh yeah, I forgot. about it.
There's actually no tweets about Methods. It's all about Slasher.
Oh, really?
So for some reason, everyone just wanted to vote for
Methods.
Methods.
It's got to be because slasher was just dropped. They're like, well, you know,
But
he's
who
dropped.
would
He's gone.
Slasher go to? I mean, who would Methods go to?
I don't know.
Because he's not playing on Toronto again.
No.
Right?
Yeah, this dude Ryan's got a really clean ass.
London.
Oh, yeah.
CDL
Methods could go to London.
Yeah.
For Shawnee?
Feels kind of lame.
I mean, I don't think that's gonna happen, but
yeah.
Shawnee
here's
drop
one.
Methods could be a guy.
from SHDW47. Slasher's probably sitting out the rest of the year, so my guess is it's got to be Methods, right? I guess he's just saying because of Slasher. So
And I feel like Slasher's definitely the most likely. Honestly, I think Temp's the most likely. I think someone's gonna be like, we want Temp.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
could be.
It's just kind of like he's the guy. Like the people know how good people know how good he's been in the past. Like he can be that good. And he wasn't bad with 100 Thieves. It just didn't fit the team. But okay, there we go.
Yeah.
I'll give you mostly intelligent stamp that time around. It was solid from the
Not
boys.
bad.
It was solid. I'm not against it.
For sure. But there it is, guys. There's the episode, Best of 3 podcast.
Wow.
Hope you guys enjoyed that one. Ended up being really long again. My goodness, dude.
So
How do we keep these shorter? What are we doing?
we
I
start
hate myself.
just muting each other randomly.
I think so.
Mute.
Maybe that's what happened to Rex when he disconnected multiple times. If you
just
notice any
muted.
edits in the episode, that was why. But I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the podcast. Wait, what are you guys watching real quick?
Yeah.
What are you watching?
Concrete Cowboy. Great movie. Idris Elba is in it.
Oh, really?
It is phenomenal.
Idris Elba is a fantastic actor.
It's a beautiful
the
movie
way.
and super insightful. You got to check it out.
It just came out this year?
I don't know when I think so.
Oh, yeah, it just came out this year.
But it's based on a real life story as well.
Lit. Looks interesting. Cool.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
try
it
to
came
get
out this year. It's on Netflix, I think. Super good.
Heck yeah.
I'm gonna try to get my hands on Godzilla versus King Kong. If
Really?
I can.
People have been
it's
hyping
good.
that
I saw
up.
that too. I like it. It's
You
fun.
saw it? It was good?
It was good.
Yeah, good.
That
I mean-
seems impossible. It looks like the lamest movie of all time,
I
I'll be
just
honest.
love-
I liked it.
CGI and
It
just
looks so
it
bad.
looks so great.
I
dude.
think you'll like it, Sam.
it like who cares
It's
about
fun.
storyline at that point? It's literally two behemoths just going at it.
Yeah.
Gotta
It's
love
I
it.
mean,
fun.
we could just wrestle.
Oh my word, two behemoths. not as entertaining, but I am down. I am down.
Perfect. And so I watched Justice League, which was solid. It
What
was
did you
decent.
watch?
Justice League. We were talking about this, right?
Snyder's cut.
Oh yeah, I saw
Snyder's,
that too.
Snyder's cut. It was
4
solid.
hours of goodness.
Do
I
not
took
watch that if you haven't watched the other ones.
Yeah. So Rex hadn't seen like any of the other DC movies, like
Yeah.
the Superman ones,
Yeah.
like any of the Superman stuff. He was very
Was
confused.
he confused?
I just jumped right into that Zack Snyder's one, and I was like,
What is happening?
and it was just
Yeah.
like cut to things. I'm like, I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, that's really
That's
tough.
funny.
But
I had to Google it at the end.
it was fine. I mean, like it was fine, but it didn't live up to the hype that some people were hyping it up to be.
Yeah.
I
In
kind of
my
agree.
opinion.
Yeah.
But it was like enjoyable.
Yeah.
But anyway, long story short, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the podcast. If you guys did,
Yes.
drop a review on Apple Podcasts, drop a comment on YouTube and rate it 5 stars on Apple Podcasts if you can. But we do
Always.
appreciate it all. But as always, guys, I'm your boy, SalvationsElite. To my right is Sam, Bo3, and to our farthest right for
Bye.
you is Rex, Shady Nero. And guys, it's been the best review call podcast. And guys, we will see you next time. We out.